Playlists can be used as part of a layout to maybe play a rotation of images, or in this example, I'm previewing a layout which is a digital menu board that has a playlist on the left-hand side here, and it's playing two videos, the Water Dasani video, and then it has the Coke video. So these videos play for about 10 seconds, and then they rotate one after the other in this playlist. So that's actually added to the Layout Designer. And we'll go through the process here of how to create your playlist and then add it to the layout. So when you're creating your content or you're thinking about the creation of your content and you want maybe an example like this where you want to have that video playing on the left-hand side or maybe the right-hand side, maybe taking up a quarter of your menu layout, it's important to keep that in mind. So with this example here of where the playlist is sitting here, this playlist is actually 608 by 1080. So the full height and width of the layout is 1920 by 1080 because this is a landscape layout. If it were portrait, that would be flipped around. But this zone, this portion of the layout, has a resolution of 608 by 1080. So it's important to keep that in mind when you're creating content for the playlist that will play on that side of the layout. Because what happens with the playlist is if you add images that are a different resolution, it's going to stretch those images to fit the 608 by 1080 resolution. So if your image was 1920 by 1080 as an example, it would actually stretch it to make it look really thin and skinny, so it will be distorted. With videos, they're not going to stretch. They have a native resolution, but they may only play in just a portion of this playlist. So it's important to keep that in mind when you're creating your content to add it to those playlists. You know, what is that resolution going to be? All right, so let's go back. I'm going to actually open up our playlist in another tab. And I like to do this. I'll open up tabs and just kind of bounce back and forth between those tabs. So with this, I have a 608 by 1080 sample playlist created. I've used the Upload Media tab to upload these video files. And these are actually in our store. So you can go to the store to find the Coca-Cola and the Dasani bottle beverage videos if you want to use those as an example or part of your designs. And these have been uploaded through the Upload Media tab, and those are now visible within our asset library. So we're dragging and dropping those down into the playlist timeline. And in this example, they're just a simple rotation. Every 10 seconds, they'll rotate one after the other in a continuous loop, so we don't have any specific playback options here that we need to set. The next step after you create your playlist, and if you haven't already created your playlist, you're going to use the Create New button to do that and then add your content to the playlist. But then we're going to go back to our layouts, and I have our layout open up in my other tab here. So I'm just going to minimize my navigation. And then on our toolbar here, there's an Add Playlist icon. So when you click on that Add Playlist icon, that's going to open up our list of playlists. And then you would select the playlist that you want to use. That's going to add it in the top left-hand corner of your Layout Designer. So you'll just need to stretch that to fit the full resolution of the zone that you want it in. So in this example, I've already added a playlist to my layout. And with this layout, I just want to zoom out here to give you the full picture. This background has a transparency. So this is a 1920 by 1080 background, but in Photoshop I cropped it out to where this portion here is transparent. And I'll have a video within the Learning Library that will kind of walk through how to create this or recreate this in you don't have to have Photoshop. You can actually use Google Slides to do this, which is kind of cool. But we also have in the store a couple of free backgrounds like this example here that you can use and add to your asset library, which can then be added to the Layout Designer through the Add Image icon. So let me zoom back in. So that playlist was added. So as we add content, it's just going to layer one on top of the other here. So if we were to add this playlist, it's going to be at the very top. I've already done this, but with the playlist, you would drag it, grab it and drag it all the way down to the bottom. You don't have to do this, but I did this just to give it a clean look with this edge here. So that tosses the playlist behind the background, but you can really have that playlist anywhere you want. We're not going to see that content in the Layout Designer, so what we'll need to do is to preview any content within that playlist. We'll have to use the preview icon here, the little magnifying glass on our Designer toolbar. That's going to give us some zoom out options. I usually just do 100% and then zoom out in Google Chrome, which is my preferred browser. So 100%, that's going to take a second to load, and then I can use Google Chrome here to zoom out to get the full picture. And that's how you add a playlist to the Layout Designer.